My name is Jane St. Louis, and I have worked at Safeway in Damascus, Maryland for 30 years. I am also a proud union member and a shop steward with the United Food Commercial Worker. I'm here today to call on the FTC to stop the merger with Kroger and Albertsons. Like many of my fellow union members, I have a long career in the grocery industry and look forward to retiring on my union pension. But I am here because I am worried. I am worried about what the future holds for me and thousands of other grocery workers like me. With the merger of Albertsons and Kroger, our future is now in jeopardy. We know this merger will result in store closures, but we don't know which stores. There is a Kroger-owned Harris Teeter store only a few miles from my store. Workers don't have unions. They don't have union benefits, such as a pension and health care. If our store is closed, what are workers like us going to do? Even if Harris Teeter does hire us, we wouldn't make the same money or even have health care. On top of that, our store town would be left with only one grocery store. That is not fair to us or our community. And what about my pension? Keeping our pension has not been easy. 3 years ago, the private equity executives controlling Albertsons wanted to stop funding our pension and put us at risk of losing our benefits. We nearly had to go on strike just to keep what we had already earned. As part of this merger deal, they also already taken $1 billion out of the company for themselves. That's just about all the cash the company has. What does the future hold for working for a company without any money? How will Safeway keep its promise to keep fund of the pension? I hope you can see why workers like me are worried. So I am here to call on the FTC to stop the merger and protect people like me and my coworkers. Thank you.
My name is Laverne Wren. I am a former employee with the Kroger Company. I worked for the Kroger Company for 16 years today. I am here today to ask the FTC to stop the Kroger and Albertson merger. The reason why I am asking is that I have experienced the Kroger Company building 2 anti-union stores in which they don't allow union members to go to these stores, and they don't provide union benefits to these employees at these stores. They don't allow union members, union workers to go to these stores. So unfortunately, some of the union members could make the commute when they shut down my store in Portsmouth, Virginia. And the commute was to Virginia Beach, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia. One of my coworkers who had to take 3 buses due to the shutdown of my store suffered a stroke en route to work. When asked if she could go to one of these anti-union stores, they refused. Keep in mind, these store was in walking distance from her home. And a few years ago, Kroger bought a local food chain called Farm Fresh. And once again, they opened these stores as anti-union stores to replace our union stores. So one of these stores was across the street from a Kroger store in Norfolk, Virginia. And to make matter worse, they didn't even open that store. So, for the community and everything, everybody suffered because of Kroger and because of the merger and because of the things that they do when they buy these stores like this. I have seen firsthand these merger would be bad for the employees and the customer. I'm asking, please, the FTC to stop this merger. And once again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
My name is Janet Wainwright. I have worked for Kroger in Yorktown, Virginia for 7 years, and I am a meat cutter. As a worker, I am very concerned with the Kroger-Albertson merger, and I'm calling on the FTC to stop the merger. After years of illegally violating our union contract, Kroger continues to be in violation of a federal judge's order to remain neutral and allow UFCW to talk to workers. CEO Rodney McMillan talks about union jobs, but he doesn't recognize our union, UFCW Local 400. What I mean by this is that for the last 10 years, Kroger has been systematically closing our union stores and replacing them with anti-union ones. We are trying to unionize 12 stores in the Hampton Roads area, but Kroger interferes with us doing this in direct violation of a judge's order. They do not give us a private setting for us to talk to the associates as required by the judge's order. They intimidate the associates, and the associates fear for their jobs if they talk to us, which is illegal under federal labor law. They give the new hires an anti-union message when they are hired. We can only talk to the associates when they're working out on the floor and in between customers. Kroger doesn't want their associates to exercise their rights or have a voice at the table. Even when there was a Senate hearing to review this merger, the presidents of the companies got to speak. There was a professor that represented the consumer, but the workers did not get to speak and have a voice at the hearing. As a worker for Kroger, I ask that you listen to our concerns and don't believe what Rodney says. When we were in negotiations with Kroger for our last contract, Rodney wanted to cut our health care. And this was during the pandemic. The union prevailed and we kept our health care. And it only went up $1 a year. As workers, we have had to fight with Kroger to get everything that we deserve. We cannot believe what Rodney says when he claims our jobs aren't at risk. We know better. Rodney's actions speak louder than his words. This is why I'm calling on the FTC not to allow this merger to happen. Thank you for listening.
I'm Haven Ronert, a UFCW Local 7 member and a seafood manager at Safeway. I'm also a volunteer advocate for the Colorado Cross Disability Coalition, representing myself and not CCDC for this. In my 20s, I was a stay-at-home father having grand mal and partial seizures frequently, as well as dystonic spasms and unbearable neuropathic pain. When I was no longer a stay-at-home father and it was time to move into the workforce, I had no job skills and dealt with cognitive issues directly related to epilepsy. I got a job at Safeway, had overwhelming support from my union, and gradually moved into the middle class. This was a good job for me to ease into the workforce despite cognitive issues. This merger will substantially reduce opportunities for employment within the disability community, limit access to food for those with mobility issues, and reduce healthcare options. Please consider, from the CDC, quote, 26% of adults in the United States have some type of disability. From the Bureau of Labor Statistics, quote, in 2022, 21.3 persons with disabilities were employed, end quote. This low rate of employment will sink even further with this merger. From the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, quote, 25.5 million Americans aged 5 and older have self-reported travel limiting disabilities, end quote. Food deserts this merger will create will leave many who use mobility devices unable to make it to the store in inclement weather because the next store is so far away. Even additional half a mile of travel to reach a grocery store may prove impossible for these 25.5 million Americans. Employees are already experiencing the negative impact of the merger transaction. All over the company, there has been significant reduction of hours, leaving households scrambling for ways to make ends meet. Right now, I'm being told I have to work to schedule employees for 39 hours so they don't hit 40 and secure benefits and full-time status. With all the grocery workers and customers are going to suffer this merger, the disability community will be hit the hardest. Grocery stores are great for jobs for people with disabilities to get started in the workforce, and these opportunities will be disappearing in communities across the U.S. from store closures. People with disabilities have high retention rates, as me and another co-worker prove with our combined 33 years of service. Please allow us to continue serving Kroger and Safeway separately. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My name is Philip Conti. I'm a member of United Food and Commercial Workers Union Local 400. I've worked in Safeway in Oxon Hill, Maryland for 40 years, and I'm looking forward to retiring on my union pension. I'm here today to urge the FTC to stop the Kroger-Albertson merger and protect workers like me and the communities that we serve. After 40 years in the grocery business, I'm looking forward to retiring. I'm also concerned about store closures. Many of our union Safeway stores are across the street from non-union Harris Teeter stores, which are owned by Kroger. If my union Safeway closes, I won't be able to get a job with the same pay and benefits at a non-union store. Furthermore, we are bargaining our contract at Safeway this summer. If Albertsons has no cash on hand after paying billions to shareholders, how will Safeway afford to pay for our wage increases or improvement to our benefits? Hours are being cut so bad, they say that the stores are over budget and employees are worried. I'm also concerned about my customers. If Safeway and Kroger's merge, They will monopolize the grocery industry in many communities. That's going to drive prices even higher than they already are. Talking to customers, they are also concerned. They say it's already a struggle to feed their families. This is why I'm calling on the FTC to stop the merger before it's too late. Thank you again for your time.
My name is Shavette Thomas, and I'm a food clerk at Albertsons in Southern California, and I'm really concerned about the Kroger's plan to acquire Albertsons. If the Federal Trade Commission allow this merger to move forward, our lives will be destroyed and our families will be affected tremendously. I personally lived through Albertsons merger in 2015. I was working as a full-time cashier at Albertsons, making $21 an hour. And when my store converted to Hagen's, after 2 months, they took away my full-time status, even though I had been working at Albertsons for 25 years. Hagen's operation only lasted 6 months. After Hagen went bankrupt, my coworkers and I were laid off, and this was a very traumatic experience for me. It's really hard. It was really hard trying to find a new job. I had to accept whatever job I was able to find. I did find a job making $14.85 an hour doing the same type of work. My weekly income was cut drastically. This situation lasted for me for about 2.5 years. I struggled to pay my rent, buy food, and I had to scale back on all my expenses. I eventually had to pick up a second job because there was no way I could make it with the one job. This lasted, I worked 2 jobs for about 1.5 years, and it was very exhausting, and it really took a lot out of me. I eventually had the opportunity to go back to Albertsons part-time, and thanks to my union, they were able to get me my full-time status back. So I cannot even think about this happening again. I do not want a repeat of this Hagen situation. So I, Shavette, am asking and urging that the Federal Trade Commission do not allow this Kroger and Albertsons merger to take place. Thank you.
My name is Sandra Chavez, and I live in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and work in Denver for Safeway. Currently, I am a file maintenance manager, which means I deal with the pricing in the store. I love serving my customers, and I never mind taking the time out of my job to help somebody. I have given my blood, sweat, and tears for over 40 years for both Kroger and Albertsons stores, and I am now approaching retirement. One of my main concerns is that what is going to happen to my pension if hundreds of stores are closed or divested and become non-union, or if the stores are sold, those under new ownership fail like they did with the Safeway Albertsons merger in 2015. Either of these scenarios would cause the pension fund, which I will rely on for my retirement, to become endangered. At my store, my colleagues are on pins and needles because, like me, they are uncertain as to what is going to happen. Most people are concerned about getting laid off. Older workers are concerned with their retirement or losing hard-earned seniority if they have to change companies. And like myself, a lot of these people have worked decades for these companies, and they just feel like they have just been shoved aside for the stock shares, for the money, and for the big people up top. There is talk of the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation that will come in and save the day. Unfortunately, that will not make us whole. I'm 60 years old, and I am a mother and a grandmother. It is unrealistic for me to start over in another field and have enough time to save the money I'll need for retirement. I respectfully ask the FTC to stop this merger. Thank you.
Thanks so much to everybody who took the time to come speak today. It's so important for us to be hearing firsthand how the work that we do and the decisions that we make are affecting people in their day-to-day lives. So I'm very grateful for everybody who took the time.